Earning millions of dollars comes with the temptation to spend elaborately, and all those purchases are difficult to account for come tax time. Many celebrities avoid the hassle by simply refusing to deal with the IRS. Keep watching to learn about celebrity tax evasion cases that left them flat out broke. Nicolas Cage. The 2000s were a terrible decade for Nicolas Cage. His extravagant purchases, including castles, yachts, a dinosaur skull, and even a private island, finally caught up with him. In an interview with People magazine, he admitted he'd paid over $70 million in back taxes throughout his career, but due to a, quote, recent legal situation, owed $14 million more. There was a $6.3 million tax lien placed on his real estate from 2002 to 2004, and an additional lien of $6.7 million on his 2008 tax bill. He sued his accountant, blaming him for his financial ruin, and they settled out of court. He had to act in a string of terrible straight-to-DVD films to keep in the red, and finally paid off his debts by 2020. Leona Hemsley. American businesswoman Leona Hemsley was dubbed New York's Queen of Mean. She told everyone what she thought or what she had done, even if it was criminal. She said bluntly to the New York Times that, quote, only the little people pay taxes. She was found not paying $1.2 million and fined an additional $7.1 million. It earned her 18 months in prison plus 2 months of house arrest on a 16-year sentence. Martha Stewart. Martha failed to pay $220,000 in taxes on her home in New York, claiming she didn't spend much time there. That was only the first of her run-ins with the police caused by trying to keep the money she'd earned in her massive empire. In 2004, Martha also lied to federal investigators about her deal with the pharmaceutical company Imclone Systems. She said they agreed to sell her shares if the price ever went below $60. There was never any such agreement, and she sold 4,000 shares worth $228,000. They couldn't prove it was insider trading, but her lies got her 18 months in jail. The most difficult part of the entire incident was rebuilding her brand. Paying over $220,000 in back taxes was nothing compared to convincing the public that she could be trusted again. Al Capone. Al was one of the most famous gangsters in the world. The police had been after him for years, but other than a few contempt of court or concealed weapons charges, he'd always evaded their grasp for serious crimes. He was in Florida and gained plausible deniability during the Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago. They couldn't nail him down until he became involved in one of the most famous cases of celebrity tax evasion. He'd been refusing to pay on his substantial income and used the money to live high. In 1931, 5 counts of tax evasion for a total of $215,000 earned him 11 years in prison. He only served 7.5 and never returned to his empire because his brain was riddled with syphilis. Willie Nelson. Willie is a charitable man who has often held live concerts to support worthy causes, such as the famous Farm Aid. In the 1990s, a strange twist of fate came about where he was the one in need of help. The IRS slapped him with a bill of over $16.7 million in back taxes. His accountants had not been paying it for many years, and he was in severe debt. He did everything he could to raise the money, including giving them part of the sales from an album titled The IRS Tapes, Who Will Buy My Memories? He also had to sell off many of his favorite possessions that the government didn't seize, but a few of his friends bought and returned them to him. His debt was negotiated down to $6 million. He couldn't pay that either and lost everything when the IRS raided his home. Only his favorite guitar trigger was saved because it was in the hands of his daughter. O.J. Simpson. O.J. has been famous for many things. First, he was known as the USC all-time leading rusher. Then he was known for being on an informal most wanted list. Eventually, he made it on another list, California's most delinquent taxpayers. O.J. owed over $1.4 million in back taxes. Unlike many others, it wasn't the result of poor financial advice. He hid the money in pension and bank accounts in other countries and borrowed against his assets to protect them from creditors. No word on where this money stands now that O.J. is back out of jail after serving time for kidnapping and armed robbery. Pete Rose. The player who holds the record for career hits was banned from baseball and the Hall of Fame thanks to tax evasion. He was betting on sports while managing the Reds and failed to report any of these winnings to the IRS. He also didn't include any earnings for personal appearances or autographs. He ended up with 5 months in jail, 1,000 hours of community service, and a $50,000 fine. He went up against the IRS again in 2003 due to back taxes. That time was a bit simpler because he had enough money to pay the $154,000 lien. He didn't have to sell possessions, such as his $1 million condo, like he did the first time. Judy Garland. Judy Garland had a life full of tragedy, including tax evasion troubles. 15 years spanned between her breakout role in The Wizard of Oz and her other major hit, A Star is Born. Judy engaged in a bit of retail therapy with the earnings from both and racked up a tax bill she couldn't repay. A weekly TV show seemed like it could save her and be the biggest talent deal in history. It was a flop and canceled after a season. The IRS had to seize her home. She had no choice but to bounce between hotels until her death of an accidental overdose on June 22, 1969. Abbot and Costello. William Bud Abbott and Lou Costello were one of the most beloved comedy duos in the 1940s and 50s, but the tax bill they raked up wasn't funny. They had so much to pay that they had to declare bankruptcy. They were even forced to sell the rights to all their films. Walter Anderson. While he may not be the most famous name in celebrity tax evasion cases, Walter Anderson's is the largest. He became a millionaire after the breakup of AT&T, but failed to report his earnings. It's reported that he evaded over $200 million. In 1998, he only paid $495 on $67,000 of income, despite allegedly earning $126 million that year alone. He tried to hide it through offshore corporations, but was eventually sentenced to 9 years in prison. Richard Hatch. Richard won $1 million in the first year of the reality TV show Survivor. He received a Form 1099 miscellaneous to fill out his winnings, but failed to pay anything on them. He also didn't pay anything on his other earnings thanks to his celebrity status from the show. Richard was convicted in federal court. He went to prison for 51 months and paid fines and fees of over $300,000. A stay in the slammer didn't teach him his lesson either. He failed to pay his taxes 2 years later and got another 9 months. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes allegedly got into tax trouble because his advisors told him he didn't have to pay taxes from 1999 to 2001. He ended up with $7 million in debt. He had to serve 36 months in prison. That included 28 months at the McKean Federal Correctional Institution in Pennsylvania and the rest in house arrest. Courtney Love. 2018 was one of many expensive years for actress Courtney Love, thanks to a tax lien of $570,000. She'd settled other bills, including $320,000 in 2012 and $266,000 in 2009 and 2011. Courtney appeared on the list of California's top 500 delinquent taxpayers in 2021 and allegedly owed $358,000. The number went up to $2.5 million in 2021, but her rep said it had been resolved. She admitted that she struggled with overspending and addiction. Marc Anthony. This Latin superstar got caught with tax evasion twice. He had a $2.5 million lien for 4 years of failure to pay in 2007. 3 years later, he failed to pay $3.4 million in back taxes, and the lien moved to his home on Long Island. The Osbornes. The entire Osborne family has faced tax evasion charges. Sharon and Ozzie were charged $1.8 million in back taxes from 2008 to 2009. A lien was placed on their home, but they paid it off in a week. Their daughter Kelly got a past due bill for $34,000 in 2009. Now it's time to hear from you. Which one of these people was most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comments section below.